everyone. Welcome back to Unbroken Arrows podcast. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Greg. And today we'd like to welcome back one of the friends of the Unbroken Arrows podcast, Dave Endicott. And Dave Endicott we're looking this up, and Dave was actually our first guest on the Unbroken Arrows podcast way back on episode 3. And we are happy to welcome Dave back. So, Dave, welcome back to the Unbroken Arrows podcast.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I was just reflecting with my wife that I thought maybe I had been the first interview, and what an honor. And I've enjoyed listening to certainly the podcasts that came after that seemed to be much better. But
oh, come on now.
But yeah, I appreciate it. I love it. It's fun to connect with you guys again and hear about, get a chance to share the story again a little bit. So I appreciate that time.
Well, you bet. And why don't we review that a little bit in terms of the story behind Camp Christopher, and maybe there are some listeners now that have not gone back all the way to the beginning of the podcast library. So if you want to give just a little overview of how Camp Christopher came to be.
You bet. Well, it unfortunately starts with kind of a tragic story. We're actually coming up in just a few weeks on the 3-year anniversary of my brother dying by suicide, and his name was Christopher. And, as a part of our grieving process for my wife and I, and he had lived with us just prior to his death, it was always family, but it became even more tightly connected to family. We had, in the process soon thereafter, we bought a piece of land, 11 acres, up near Cotton, Minnesota, kind of between Duluth and Virginia, and realized because of life expectations with jobs and some caretaking of our moms, that this beautiful piece of property, 11 acres on a river, was just not going to be utilized very much. And so kind of on a whim, I put out a Facebook post that offered folks that had been impacted by suicide or have dealt with or are dealing with mental health situations could go and camp there for free. It's a rustic camping site. There is electricity there now, but no running water. And kind of thinking that my typical Facebook post, 10 friends read, 5 make a stupid comment, and it's done. But this one ended up getting shared 10,000 times. And we ended up filling every single day that first summer from May 15th to October 15th. And with not a single person that we knew, but all that had a story that you never are done living through that story, but we're in that journey of grief or mental health kinds of things. So that's kind of where Camp Christopher came from, continues to run in that aspect today.
Well, when we first talked to you, you just finished up your first season of opening up the land for people to camp, and you said that wrapped up, I think, in October. Now you have come to the end of the second year of allowing people to use the campground and the land area for healing. So you've come officially to the end, I do believe, of the second season of camping. And how did the second year go?
It wasn't as busy. We didn't have as many campers this year. I think some of the excitement, the PR or whatever that happened in that first year kind of mellowed out some, which is fine. Mm-hmm. We still had quite a few campers there. Had a tough start at the beginning of the year because of all the rain and everything.
Sure.
The grounds were very damp. Had a couple of people get stuck. They tried to park where there was no gravel, and you would sink in. Mm-hmm. But they most of them ended up staying and camping there anyway until they got towed out, and had a good experience. But it's very similar to the first summer, and just some incredible stories, some beautiful people that have lived through pieces that I can't even imagine for their own lives, but have come to that place for the peace, for some grieving, some healing. I'm sure some of them it's singing and praying. Some of them it's screaming and yelling. Some of them it's just sitting and letting whatever, that nature surround you. And that still happened. Again, wasn't as busy, but still had a really good summer, and had a lot of folks that just were, I think, experienced a very healing peace for themselves in going there, and have talked about wanting to make sure they can get there again next year. And we got electricity first summer. We put in new gravel for the driveway and the road into there. So some fix-ups there. We'll continue to look at doing some improvements down the road too to make that experience better for folks. But I've said this before, I think, with you guys, it's been far more healing and has touched us far more than anything we've been able to give by offering the land. It's been a really important part of our own grieving process and continues to be. So it's to be able to share that with others is just means the world to us.
One of the things that was most impressive from our first conversation was that some of the guests that you had that first year took that pay it forward type approach and did different things to help improve the campgrounds as a way, I think, to say thank you to you and Esther. So were there any of those projects that were either continued or new ones started this year?
Yeah, there was certainly, one of the things that we're really fortunate and blessed is a lot of the folks that stay there will mow the lawn for us. We're about 2.5 hours away, so it's not always easy for us to get up there and go mow, and especially the first half of the summer where we had a bazillion inches of rain up there. The grass was growing just fine. So, we're really fortunate that happened. We've also had a couple of other people that don't camp there but have offered and have gone in and done some of that mowing and trimming and taking care of those kinds of things. Folks continued the kind of the memorial rock garden. We had people just clean up some of the other pieces around the camp that still were in cleanup mode from the owner that we bought it from. So yeah, every single person that has stayed there, and this is not even an exaggeration, every single person that has stayed there has made it better for the next person in some small way or big way, either whether it's just donating matches to put in the shed for folks to use, to doing some pretty significant work around the campground. So yeah, Greg, I appreciate you bringing that up, because that has very definitely happened along the way.
Well, recently here, we have started I shouldn't say started, we've repurposed Catherine's mom, Stephanie, and her dad, Tony, started a foundation after her little sister, Rebecca, passed away as a result of leukemia. And they started what was known as the Rebecca's Legacy Foundation. And Tony died by suicide, and he was the face of the foundation. And with his death, the foundation, I don't want to say grew stagnant, but it slowed down as he was the driving force behind it. And Stephanie says that, I was the person that was behind the scenes and could do things. Well, shortly after a meeting, Catherine and her mom came home, and they were kind of talking about the fact that the foundation might be dissolved. And as we started to move forward with our podcast, I approached them with the idea of, maybe we repurpose a little bit to include the legacy not only of Rebecca, but Tony and my first wife, Holly. And so we've repurposed, so to speak, the foundation and renamed it into the Unbroken and Brave Foundation.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you. And Catherine's grandparents, Stephanie's mom and dad, and Stephanie co-owned a camper. And she heard through friends that they live in Minnesota that they received donations to purchase a camper, and they donated it to people in need that lost their home in North Carolina. And Stephanie and her parents decided to donate their camper to that. So, and it's going to a campground in which, when I heard this, the first thing I thought of was you and Esther with Camp Christopher. And the campground is used it's owned by a veteran, and they open up the campground to veterans that are suffering from PTSD and just the need for mental healing that comes with their experiences. So I think that you and Esther,
filled with that. Oh my gosh, that's what a neat story.
Well, you and Esther and people like those in North Carolina that are doing that, I just want to say thank you. I mean, it's one of those things that people need to heal, and enjoying the outdoors, being outside is just what the doctor ordered, to be honest with that. It gives you the opportunity. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. And you're right. Nature is the ultimate healing salve. And the grief journey is never a done journey, but you ride through those high tides and low tides. And for me, just a few weeks ago, I was really in kind of a funk. Couldn't figure out why. I didn't have any real good reason, and realized it was it was coming up to the anniversary of my father's death. And Esther came home and I was like, we got to go for a hike. And so we went out to one of the great trails around where we live. And just that alone was just brought me back into just a balanced place in life. And what you guys are offering and what I think we offer, I think we talked about this before. What I realized is people desperately need a safe space to grieve, to heal, to share, to do whatever. And those are the kinds of spaces that we're talking about absolutely help bring that to the table for them or for us.
Absolutely. The question that I didn't ask the first time we talked was, one of the things that Minnesota has that really, really impresses me is, in the wintertime, the snowmobile trails, but in the spring, summer, and fall, the UTV trails that people can enjoy. Are there any UTV trails nearby Camp Christopher?
Yeah, there are. There's UTV trails, bike trails that are within just a couple of miles of Camp Christopher. So for those folks that like to enjoy those activities, they certainly are able to do that real close by there.
Yeah, that's one of the activities that I purchased a UTV after my first wife, Holly, passed away. And, just going out by myself and for long rides, sometimes,
Sure. Yeah,
2-3 hour rides. And that's something that I introduced Stephanie to, I guess. And when we go to Minnesota to the family cabin, that's a whole new avenue of enjoying the outdoors that, for the first basically 50 some years of my life, I didn't even knew existed. And Minnesota has some fantastic trails and thousands of miles of them too. So
they do. Yeah. We've got a number of them really close to our place here as well. So we got a lot of friends that is definitely their escape as well.
Just a quick question. If a person had a camping setup that they could camp in the wintertime, is Camp Christopher open to somebody that, say, would want to hit the snowmobile trails in around?
It depends on how much snow we've had. We do not plow the road. Okay. We choose not to pay for that to get done. If it's last winter, yeah, you absolutely could have done it, but there wouldn't have been any reason to go snowmobile.
Exactly.
Your ATV would have been able to go, or UTV would have been able to go wherever. But yeah, we typically close her down. But I mean, electricity's on. There's space there. If there was, and I would say this, if there was a family that had gone through some of these experiences that we all share, and needed that space, I'd get that sucker plowed, and I'd make sure that space was available to them. But we have not done that in the past.
So this summer, did you guys have a chance to go out and enjoy it a little bit too?
We made primarily day trips, Catherine, but we did actually the last weekend of the camp being open, it wasn't reserved by anybody from a Camp Christopher standpoint. We hosted a teardrop camper rally at the site, and we had 15, they're called bushwhackers, little teardrop campers. That we had one. We've actually sold ours now. We're getting another, just the same size camper, just a different one. But we had 15 campers from literally all over the country, and actually one from Canada that came and camped. A number of them donated to NAMI, to the mental health group in Minnesota, in support of what was going on there, and helped do some of the work around the campground and that kind of thing too. So we were there. I was there for 5 days. Esther was there for 4. So that was kind of our big excursion to go camp and use that space. Other than that, we did a lot of, sometimes on Sundays we'd go to church and then drive up to the camp and just go maybe do mowing if we needed to, or just sit and ponder,
Mm-hmm.
just enjoy and get surrounded by the nature. So yeah, we're hoping. Esther's mom, which we've been caretakers for, recently went into assisted living, which has been a good thing for her, and it frees us up now too. So we're hopeful at the new camper next spring, we'll be getting to use that a little bit more as we can escape without having to find somebody else to come and take care of her mom. So.
How did you promote the Teardrop Camper Rally? And is it something that you plan on doing again? And if so, what time of year would that be?
Yeah. Well, so when you were saying that you started something, being the first one, this is one of the things I started. So there's a Facebook group for these bushwhacker campers, and it is the most incredible Facebook group I've ever seen. There is never a negative thing. If one guy tried to get negative one time, and he got shot down so fast it was done.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, but this whole group of people that just share all of their modifications, their ideas, their stuff. So I think it was about 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we decided to host a bushwhacker rally on our farm where we live. We had alpacas at the time, so we hosted this alpaca farm bushwhacker rally and had, I don't know, maybe 10 campers. I don't know if there's even that many, just out in the field. And it was, again, a bunch of people from all over. We did that a couple of times here. And then when we sold that part of the farm and just took a break from it, and then realized, and then they started, now they have rallies all over the country, this whole group. They've got them they had one in New Hampshire, one in Carolinas, one in Florida, one in Texas, one in Washington. They've got them all over. So this group was going, you're the reason we have rallies. I had the first ever bushwhacker rally. And
Wow.
So we decided to jump into the fray again this year with it. It was great fun. We already have it planned for the first weekend in October next year. We only have room for about 20 campers, and I've already got 10 of those sites claimed for next year. But I'm hoping there's another chunk of land right next to ours that supposedly is for sale, but I haven't been able to get a hold of anybody to see if we can buy that so we can maybe grow that a little bit. But yeah, that's not really Camp Chris related as far as the mission that it became, but certainly was a lot of fun and healing just from having a bunch of really fun people around and doing our thing there.
Well, absolutely. That's part of it, though. That socialization is part of it, and
Yep.
and to be able to do those kinds of things, and think of the people that you are able to also share that message to, and they go back and they share it, so it's just an exponential type of expansion of getting that information
and as you guys, I'm sure, have discovered too. I mean, as I'm sitting around the campfires talking to all these folks, like I said, from all over the country, darn near every one of them had a story to share that fit the Camp Christopher vision. And so it became, I think, for them, even though it wasn't intended that way necessarily, that's what it was for some of these folks too, was this was a place to come and heal and grieve and be at a place that said, you're welcome here. Whatever baggage you bring to the table is okay. And so while it certainly was fun and we had a lot of good laughs and some stupid stories, there was also that piece that unintentionally happened. And I do think people are coming to that and are planning to come next year because it is Camp Christopher and because of the reason Camp Christopher exists.
That's great news. That's a great way to spread that message. Now on a selfish note here, Dave, I'm going to ask, as we try to expand our reach and we try to promote the different types of activities and outdoor activities, we've actually gone on site to a place called the PDR Youth Hunt, which is a youth hunt for disabled youth, and also Casting for Recovery, which is a retreat for women who are at any point in their journey with breast cancer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this is a case where I hope my siblings aren't listening, because we have a cabin north of Park Rapids, and
Oh, yeah.
we go through a lottery system in terms of the weeks that we select to stay up there.
Sure.
So
Sure.
if Stephanie and I, so if Stephanie and
Rock,
I,
paper, scissors for it.
exactly. So if Stephanie and I could
Little
get
poker
that,
game.
well, yeah, you might have to pay somebody off to get the week you need, but if they pick before you. But if Stephanie and I could arrange that to be up at the cabin during that time, it wouldn't be that far of a trip to come over.
Oh, please do.
Could we record some interviews at that rally?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
That would be fun.
that'd be awesome. We'd love to have you come and check it out. And the other thing, Park Rapids is only about maybe an hour from where our farm is, where we live.
Okay.
So
I
if
think
you're
I knew
ever
that.
up
Brainerd,
way-
near Brainerd, is that right?
Yeah, we're north of Brainerd. We're about a half hour north of Brainerd.
Okay.
So when you're up that direction, give a holler. Yeah, we'd love to meet you in person.
Absolutely. That'd be fun. Are you a coffee drinker?
I am not.
Oh, no.
Oh, you just
know,
broke Greg's
I've
heart a
never-
little bit.
I've never grown up. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Well,
It's all right. I'm
I'll
right
drink,
there
I'll
with
drink
you.
coffee with Stephanie, and we'll drink it alone.
I do cinnamon rolls, however. So,
Well,
I was saying, Greg did make those cinnamon rolls, and they're pretty good. Tons of frosting. You like frosting?
Well, yeah, well, you can't go wrong there. That's for sure. Yeah.
I thought you shut that timer off, Greg.
I thought I did too, but I didn't, evidently.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that we didn't touch on, or that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think the only thing we're going to be open again next year for people to come and camp. I'll be putting stuff out on Facebook and the webpage, probably in beginning of January,
Okay.
for folks to sign up for weekends. So yeah, it'll be the same kind of thing. Shoot me an email, tell me what you want, what dates you want, and we'll see. I sell real estate on the site as well, and if I sell enough houses, maybe we'll get some water there. But we'll see what happens. It depends how much my wife decides to spend on the remodel in this house too. So.
Oh, sure. Well, you also have a website too, Dave. Do you want to share
Yeah.
the website and
Yeah.
also what type of information people can find on that?
Sure. The website is Camp Chris Cotton, and all spelled just like you would think. All one word, lowercase, campchriscotton.com. And there you can find, first of all, about the property, what it is, the reason it's there. You can also go in and see the calendar to show what dates are available, any contact information. There's a few blogs that I've written, although I've fallen behind on that. I need to get going again. And then some comments and pictures from folks that have stayed there, that kind of thing. So nothing fancy, not a ton to it, but we will give you the real basic info. It also will tell you kind of what kinds of activities are available around the area, what you need to bring if you come camping there, those kinds of things.
Okay. Now, I am not a Facebook person, but my wife Stephanie is, and I think she shared with me
Stephanie and I
that
are friends.
Yeah.
We're friends on Facebook.
Yes, that's right. And I think she shared with me that you and Esther went on a trip, I think in conjunction with an anniversary. And, I think, well, no, I'll just let you tell us about that trip if you want to.
Sure. Well, we celebrated our 40th anniversary in June. And,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. Anybody that can live with me that long is up for sainthood for sure. So we flew into Anchorage for our 40th anniversary, rented a camper van, and we spent 8 days traveling around Alaska in a camper van. Went up to Talkeetna, Denali, down to Seward, down to Homer. Camped a couple of nights in Denali, did the bus tour through there. Did the Kenai Fjord tour, cruise, out on a ship for about 8 hours. And I've gotten into wildlife photography in the past year, so I only took about 2,800 pictures during this trip. But and then we went the last day. We were in Homer and went halibut fishing, and caught our limit in halibut and shipped that home. We still have some in the freezer. That might have to be supper this weekend sometime coming up. But
Oh boy, that's good.
had an absolutely fabulous trip. Would do it again tomorrow. Just enjoyed and loved that we were kind of on our own schedule, staying in our own place with the camper van, and just got to explore and really visit with folks. I'm not a big touristy person. I want to go and find out who the people are and what the communities are like in real life. And so we got a chance to do some of that too.
Well, Stephanie and Tony, I think, went on a trip to Alaska, and Catherine was about, what'd you say, 4?
Yeah, I was like maybe 4 years old, and then me and AJ got to go too. So there's lots of pictures of me in Alaska, but I remember like very, very little of it.
Yeah. Well, that's what we used to tell our oldest daughter. We went to Disneyland out in California when my wife was pregnant with her. And we always told her, "You've been to Disneyland. You don't need to go again."
Yeah, I bet she said like, that didn't count, huh?
Yeah, oh, you got that right. Yeah.
No, yeah. Alaska's one of those places that is on kind of my bucket list. I hope to travel to all 50 states. I did go to Hawaii to meet up with my daughter who's in the Navy, and I rode back with her on the aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln, for a Tiger cruise, which was fantastic. But
oh my gosh, yeah,
I spent all of like maybe 12 hours in Hawaii. It wasn't like
you didn't get to travel.
I didn't get to travel around and explore.
Yeah.
And I'd love to take the train up to Alaska. I think that would be fun.
I'd love to go back to Alaska and actually be able to remember some of it. That would be awesome.
Exactly, Catherine. Yeah. Well, my expectations were pretty stinking high, and it was way above that. It was incredible beyond that.
Dave, thank you for taking the time to update us on Camp Christopher. And anytime you have any information that you'd like to share, if there's any way that we can promote your mission and your desire to help people heal through the outdoors, we would hope to be one of your first calls.
Oh, absolutely. And well, the same. And send me the info on your stuff that you're doing, and I can get that on our website and on our Facebook page as well, and let people know the kind of work you're doing for vets and that kind of thing too. So we can definitely work together on those pieces.
Well, thank you, Dave.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Give our regards to Esther, and you guys too.
Have a nice day.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye. Our immediate family has experienced cancer-related deaths as a result of leukemia, prostate, and ovarian cancer. It would be safe to say that every one of us has had our lives impacted by cancer in some way. A healthy diet, which can include wild game and fish, and exercise through outdoor activities, has the potential to improve a person's physical and mental health. At any age, if you are active, stay active. If you are not as active as you would like to be, it's not too late to start now as a way to improve your physical and mental health. And if you or someone you know is thinking of suicide or in need of crisis intervention, call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988. Additionally, here are 3 ways for veterans and their loved ones to receive confidential crisis support, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Contact the Veterans Crisis Line, dial 988, then press 1 to be connected to a Veterans Crisis Line responder. If you would rather, you can chat online at veteranscrisisline.net/chat, or you can text 838255. To all our listeners, take some time to get outside, enjoy the outdoors, and experience its healing powers. With that, on behalf of Catherine and me, until next time.